I came home to silence. No tiny sneakers by the door. No glitter trail across the floor. No mommy, echoing from the stairs. Just the hum of my fridge and an envelope taped to the kitchen counter. That's when I knew something was wrong. At first, I thought maybe my daughter Mia was still at my parents' place. They were supposed to watch her while I was away for a 2-day business retreat. I'd packed her bag, her sketchbook, even her favorite peanut butter crackers. They'd smiled when I dropped her off. "Don't worry," Mom had said. "She'll be fine." Now I stood alone in my kitchen, the sun setting behind me, with a letter that read like a breakup note. "Sorry, sweetie. We just couldn't take care of her." That was the first line. The rest rambled. A few scribbled sentences trying to explain away the unthinkable. How Mia had been a handful, how their trip was already planned, how they just didn't know what else to do. They had dropped my 9-year-old daughter at Child Protective Services, like she was lost property. And then, they boarded a plane to Hawaii with my sister's 3 kids, complete with Disney backpacks, matching outfits, and pre-booked hula lessons. No emergency, no warning, no phone call, just a note. And a daughter in foster care. I didn't scream, didn't throw things, didn't call anyone to cry. I drove straight to the CPS office. When I walked in, the woman at the front desk recognized the name immediately. "Are you Mia's mother?" she asked gently. I nodded. She exhaled, stood up, and led me back to a quiet, windowless room. And there she was, Mia, curled up on a hard plastic couch with a blanket wrapped around her, hair tangled, cheeks puffy. Her sketchbook clutched to her chest like a lifeline. She looked up when I entered. "Mom," I knelt down in front of her. "I'm here, baby." She didn't say anything else, just buried her face in my neck and started shaking, not sobbing, just trembling like a branch in a storm. The caseworker gave me space. Didn't ask questions yet. I appreciated that. When we finally spoke, she told me the truth. They dropped her off with a backpack, a note, and 0 documentation. Said they couldn't manage her anymore. The system had no choice but to take her in until we found a contact. "We've been trying to reach you for hours." I checked my phone. 1 missed call. No voicemail. No messages from my parents. Just silence. The kind you never forget. I signed the forms. Took my daughter home. Got her in the bath. Fed her pancakes at midnight. Then I sat down with the note again. And I made a list. Not a revenge plan. Not an emotional rant. A timeline. A paper trail. A set of names, dates, departures, flight numbers, and jurisdictional authorities. Because I wasn't going to scream. I was going to document. My name is Jordan. And from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Because they thought they left my daughter behind with nothing. But what they really left behind was a mother with everything to prove. And tomorrow morning, someone was going to knock on their door. And this time, they wouldn't be able to walk away. My parents always had 2 sets of rules. One for my sister, Samantha, and one for me. Samantha was the golden daughter, cheer captain, married by 22, 3 kids, Pinterest lunches, matching family pajamas every Christmas. I was the late bloomer, the rebellious one, the career girl who made her own life too complicated. That's what they called it when I had Mia at 25 and raised her without a husband. To them, she was a reminder of my mistake. To me, she was my miracle. But from the moment Mia was born, she was treated like a backup grandchild. Every year, my parents sent Samantha's kids elaborate gifts, tablets, bikes, full costume sets. Mia got pajamas. Sometimes not even the right size. One Christmas, they mailed matching sweaters for all the cousins. Mia's box was empty. Mom claimed it was a shipping error. I said nothing, because I was used to the errors always falling on our side of the family tree. But what really broke me was watching Mia notice. She never asked for more, never complained. She just watched from the corner while her cousins got praised for basic manners, while she got labeled difficult if she didn't smile on command. My father once said, "She's a little quiet, isn't she? Probably needs more structure." I said, "She's thoughtful, not loud. That's not a flaw." He rolled his eyes. Samantha could drop her kids off unannounced, 2 weekends in a row, and my parents would rearrange their lives to babysit. I'd call once, with 3 days' notice. Sorry, sweetie, we're so booked. Maybe next time. Mia never got sleepovers at Grandma's. She got conditions. And the irony? Mia adored them. She made cards, painted them watercolor bookmarks, brought them her favorite shells from the park.
She tried.
And still, she wasn't enough. I told myself they'd warm up, that they were just old-fashioned, that maybe when Mia got older, they'd see her. But they didn't. Instead, they planned a once-in-a-lifetime family trip to Hawaii and asked if I could keep Samantha's kids for a few days before the flight. I said no. I had work.
So, did Samantha.
We agreed. Mom and Dad would take Mia and her cousins together for one night before the trip, then we'd figure it out. What I didn't know was, they'd never planned to take Mia at all. The cousins' bags were packed with bathing suits, goggles, travel tablets. Mia's backpack had crackers and one stuffed rabbit. And a note. Not even sealed in an envelope. Just scribbled on printer paper. Sorry, sweetie. We just couldn't take care of her. They didn't forget her. They excluded her. Deliberately. Left her in a government office while boarding a flight with 3 kids in matching Aloha Squad shirts. I kept rereading that line in the note. We just couldn't take care of her. But they never had to, because she took care of herself more than they ever took care of her.
And now?
She had a mother who wasn't interested in vengeance. Just accountability. Because you don't abandon a 9-year-old like a spare toothbrush and fly off into a sunset. Not when she has a mother like me. It was handwritten, on plain white paper. No envelope. No dignity. Just folded once and left on my counter like a crumpled receipt. The handwriting was unmistakable, my mother's perfect loops and passive-aggressive curls. Sorry, sweetie. We just couldn't take care of her. That was the first line. The rest? Some twisted mix of excuse, denial, and fake affection that read more like a cover letter than a cry for help. Mia is a lovely girl, but we simply weren't equipped for her level of sensitivity. She had a small meltdown over pancakes and wouldn't stop crying for you. With the upcoming trip and all the planning involved, we just couldn't give her what she needed. We thought it would be best for her to be somewhere safe and structured. And you know how anxious she can get. Safe and structured. They were talking about foster care. They used clinical language to dress up abandonment. They ended the note with, "Hope you understand. We'll be back in 10 days. No signature. Not even a love, Mom and Dad." Just an afterthought, like they were confirming a package drop-off. I sat there for a long time, reading it again and again. And the thing is, I almost did understand. Because this wasn't new. This wasn't the first time they made Mia feel like a backup plan. This was just the loudest version of what they'd been doing quietly for 9 years. But now I had proof. So I got to work. I scanned the note, took high-res photos, documented the time I found it, recorded a voice memo of my initial reaction, calm, detailed, time-stamped. Then I called Sasha, my closest friend and a legal assistant for a family law attorney. They left her in state custody, Sasha, with a note. While they went to F******************************************************************************************* Did you document everything? Every line. She gave me the plan. File a formal CPS report, not to attack them, but to solidify the record. Open a case for endangerment abandonment, especially given Mia's age and medical history. She had mild asthma, which they conveniently forgot to list. Notify the court of upcoming travel so that jurisdiction fell under my local system, not theirs. And then, the final move. File a freeze on any shared financial accounts they used to pay for that trip. You have precedent. They're in Hawaii, Sasha. What's that going to do?
She paused.
You ever seen a resort hold someone's bags over unpaid incidentals? I smiled. Not because I wanted revenge, but because they needed consequences. Not screaming, not guilt, just a mirror. And I was about to hold it right to their sunburned faces. Before I filed, I asked Mia something. Sweetheart, what did Grandma and Grandpa say when they dropped you off? She shrugged. Her voice was soft. Grandma said not to cry. That I'd be better off with people who know what to do with kids like me. My heart cracked. Do you think that's true? She looked up at me.
No.
I think they just didn't want me. I knelt down, held her face in both hands. Well, I do. And they're about to find out what that costs. I didn't slam doors. I didn't post about it. I didn't call to curse them out. I just printed the paperwork and filed it. Report hashtag CPS 7281. A. Neglect of minor by guardians. Filed. 9:47 a.m. Allegation. Abandonment of 9-year-old minor without formal custody transfer, documentation, or notification to legal parent. Attached. The note. Time-stamped photos. My custody papers. Flight booking records. They booked the trip 4 months prior, meaning they had time to plan who would go and who wouldn't. And then I sent a copy to Sasha's office. By noon, the report was flagged for urgent review.
Why?
Because they didn't just leave Mia with a neighbor or call CPS in a panic. They physically walked her into a government office, left her, and flew away. And that isn't just negligence. It's calculated endangerment. They treated her like an inconvenience. A last-minute cancellation. A non-refundable burden they decided to toss so they could sip my ties with Samantha's picture-perfect kids. Sasha got back to me with news. We're escalating it. The state can open a temporary case against them. If it moves fast enough, they'll be served in Hawaii. I blinked. They'll get hit there?
Hard.
Travel violations tied to child neglect don't sit well with law enforcement, especially when the abandoned child is already in the system. The next morning, I filed one more request. A hold on any joint accounts my parents shared with Samantha. Not to steal. To freeze. Because she was complicit. She had to be. There's no way she didn't know Mia wasn't going. No way she didn't question why only her kids got the all-expenses-paid treatment. And yet, she said nothing. So I said everything. A notice was delivered to Samantha's bank, alerting them to pending legal action involving her children's travel, since the funds used came from an account under joint family responsibility. She texted me that night. Samantha, what the hell is this? Are you trying to ruin Mom and Dad's trip? I replied with a single photo. The note. 5 minutes later, she called. I didn't pick up. Because this wasn't about phone calls. It was about paper trails. And the trail now pointed to a hotel suite in Maui, where 2 people were sipping cocktails, completely unaware that a caseworker in a button shirt and 2 officers in plain clothes were already on their way. I didn't feel satisfaction. Not yet. I just felt readiness. Because when you're a mother and they hurt your child, you don't scream. You report. You document. You let the system they believed would protect them hold up a mirror. That night, I tucked Mia into bed. She held my hand and whispered, "Did I do something wrong?" I kissed her forehead.
No.
You did everything right. They're the ones who forgot how to love. Then I sat at my desk watching the clock, because somewhere across the ocean, the sun was rising. And so was their reckoning. They thought paradise would protect them. Hawaii. 5-star suite. Ocean view balcony. 3 grandkids eating rainbow shave ice, while Samantha posted boomerangs of beach yoga and pineapple brunch. No responsibilities. No phone calls. No guilt. Just vacation. Until 7:42 a.m. Room 604.
Bang. Bang. Bang.
3 sharp knocks on polished wood. Not a polite knock. Not a housekeeping tap. A government knock. The kind that tells you, you're not in charge anymore. Inside the room, my mother was pouring coffee. My father was scrolling through weather apps, planning the next excursion. They hadn't even called to check on Mia. Didn't send a single text. The door opened. 2 plainclothes officers and 1 representative from Hawaii's Child Welfare Services stood in the hallway, badges out, formal, firm. Mr. and Mrs. Callahan? Yes, my father said, brows furrowing. You've been named in an active child neglect report involving the abandonment of your granddaughter, Mia Callahan. Silence. My mother blinked like someone had just spoken to her in another language. I think there's been a mistake. We have documentation. A signed note left in your home. Flight records. Witness statements. We're going to need you to come with us for questioning. She sputtered. We're on vacation. That's noted in the report. But she's fine now, right? Jordan picked her up? This is all just dramatic. A child was placed into state custody under your supervision. You left the country without proper care arrangements. That's not dramatic, ma'am. That's criminally actionable. My father tried to speak. The officers were already inside, securing the space, asking where the other minors were, the ones you chose to bring. The hotel manager appeared 10 minutes later, red-faced, apologizing to guests in the hallway as voices rose. A crowd had gathered. Samantha, in gym clothes and wet hair, came running from the breakfast buffet when she heard. What's going on? She saw the officers. This is ridiculous. She's her granddaughter. Not your daughter, the caseworker corrected. You weren't listed on any custodial paperwork. And you're the one who traveled with your own children under false pretense. Samantha's jaw dropped. False? My parents paid for this trip, with funds that are currently under review due to joint custody disputes and pending financial negligence. That hit her like a slap. Now the manager looked concerned. Are these guests under some sort of criminal investigation? Pending, yes. Within 20 minutes, my parents were escorted from the suite. Not handcuffed. Not arrested, just exposed. Samantha and the grandkids were told to remain in the hotel until clearance was given. The trip? Over. My mother tried to call me. I let it ring, then blocked the number. Because I wasn't looking for drama. I was looking for consequences. And now they had begun. By the time they landed back on the mainland, they were slapped with an emergency CPS court date. A social worker visit scheduled to inspect their home. A community memo from their local church, removing them from childcare volunteer lists. And perhaps worst of all, they had to explain why one grandchild was missing from the photos. Why only 3 children came back with leis and luggage. Why one little girl came back with silence, trauma, and a mother ready to burn it all down. By the time they landed back home, the walls were already closing in. No welcome committee. No excited grandkids jumping into their arms. Just silence and consequences. Their house had already been visited by a CPS field agent. Neighbors watched. Not from curiosity, from recognition. Because word had gotten out. Not from me. I never posted a thing. But small towns don't need posts. They just need one whisper. Did you hear what the Callahans did to their granddaughter? Left her with foster care. On purpose. While they were sipping coconuts on a beach, my parents' phone calls tripled. From the community center. From the church elder board. From Samantha. You need to fix this, she texted them. But they couldn't. Because I didn't just file reports. I filed a motion. Emergency petition for legal guardianship restructuring. Effective immediately. No unsupervised visits. No temporary custody over minors without parental review. And no legal say over Mia. Ever again. I filed a cease and desist order to prevent them from using Mia's name in any public statement. They couldn't play the misunderstood grandparent card, not with state evidence sitting in 3 manila folders on a judge's desk. Then came the financial blow. Sasha pushed forward on the motion to freeze their travel-related funds. Since they'd booked the family vacation with funds partially tied to shared accounts, meant originally for college savings, mine, years ago, we had grounds to investigate misuse. The court agreed. Their accounts were audited. Half the hotel bill, paid through a savings account they promised would be locked away for Mia someday. My father tried to deny it, until they pulled the bank records. That hit Samantha the hardest. She had plans, a new kitchen renovation, a private school fund, a leased SUV. Now, she had a lawyer. Not against me, against them. You dragged my kids into this, she screamed over voicemail. You knew, I texted back. And you said nothing. She never replied. At work, people stopped asking my parents about the grandkids. At church, they stopped getting invited to speak. Their picture-perfect legacy? Cracked. And I didn't gloat. I just rebuilt. I took time off work to stay home with Mia. We painted her room. Bought glow-in-the-dark stars. Made forts from old blankets. We started family movie nights, just us. Mia was quiet at first,
Jumpy.
distrustful. But one night, after brushing her teeth, she looked at me and said, "Grandma used to say I was too much. Am I?" I knelt down, looked her in the eye. "You're not too much. You were just too bright for people who forgot how to see light." She smiled, small but real. And for the first time since that day, I felt peace. Not victory. Not revenge.
Just peace.
Because I hadn't taken anything from them that wasn't already rotting. I just stopped pretending the rot wasn't there.
And now?
They'd never have control again. It started with a whisper. "Can I paint my walls?" Mia stood in the hallway, holding 3 swatches, lavender, seafoam green, and soft gold. Her fingers were still stained with marker from earlier. I smiled. "You can paint them all if you want."
She grinned.
That was the first time I'd seen her smile without checking the room to make sure it was safe. We picked seafoam. She wanted stars on the ceiling, so we made them. Glow-in-the-dark ones. We spelled her name in constellations above her bed. She started sleeping through the night again. Stopped checking the door lock twice. Stopped waking up afraid someone else would leave her. Because now she understood. No one was leaving. And if someone tried to, she had a mother who would burn the whole system down first. We started doing little rituals. Morning smoothies. Afternoon walks. Art hour every Sunday, even if we just colored the same page for 30 minutes. One night, she pulled out her sketchbook, the one she clutched at the CPS office. She turned it to a page I hadn't seen before. It was a drawing. A tiny girl with wild hair, sitting on a suitcase under a sign that said, "Lost and Found." But next to her, a taller figure held her hand. The figure wore a shirt with a heart on it and a big, uneven smile.
Me.
Underneath, Mia had written, "Found." I didn't cry. I just held her and whispered, "You're not a burden, baby. You're a miracle. A gift they didn't deserve. But I do. And I will never stop showing you that." Her voice was small. "Even if I mess up? Even then. Especially then." Because that's the thing about real love. It's not loud. It's not performative. And it doesn't abandon you at an office with a note taped to your backpack. Love shows up. Even when it's hard. Even when you're exhausted. That week, I got a call from a local nonprofit. They'd heard about what happened, not from me, but through quiet whispers. A staff member from CPS had referred me to a small resilience project for single parents. They asked if I'd speak on a panel. Not about the scandal. Not about the report. About what comes after. About rebuilding trust. Protecting kids. Being believed. I said yes. Not because I wanted the attention, but because I wanted every other mother who'd been made to feel too much to know. You're not weak for staying quiet. You're not dramatic for fighting without shouting. And you're not wrong for walking away from people who share your blood, but not your soul. That night, after the call, Mia asked, "Mommy, are we normal now?" I shook my head, grinning.
No.
"We're not normal. We're better. We're ours." She laughed. And in that moment, giggling in seafoam walls under plastic stars, I knew. They may have broken everything once, but they didn't win. We did. They showed up 2 weeks later. I was on my porch watering the little flower bed Mia and I had planted together. Wildflowers and baby lavender, the kind of things that grow quietly and bloom without permission. Their car pulled up slow, cautious. My mother got out first. She looked older, thinner. My father followed behind, adjusting his shirt collar like it would hide the shame on his face. I didn't move. I didn't wave. I just turned the water off and waited. "Jordan," my mom started, voice cracking. "We just wanted to talk." I stayed quiet. "We made a mistake. A terrible mistake." "We've lost everything," my father added, glancing at the street like someone might be watching. They weren't here to apologize. They were here to fix their image. To find a way to rewrite what had happened. To soften the truth so it could fit back into their polished little world. "We didn't know how much this would hurt you," she continued. "We thought she was safe. We thought you'd be back soon." I tilted my head. "You thought wrong." They nodded quickly, desperate. "We'll do anything," my father said. "We miss Mia." And there it was. We miss Mia. Not "we're sorry for what we did." Not "we understand why we'll never see her again."
Just longing.
Just regret dressed up as entitlement. "She's doing well," I said simply. "She doesn't ask about you anymore." My mother swallowed hard. "Can we write to her?"
No.
"Maybe just a visit? A letter?"
No.
My voice was steady, final. I stepped down from the porch, just close enough so they couldn't mistake the expression on my face. "You didn't just forget her birthday. You didn't just miss a recital or say the wrong thing. You abandoned her. You put her in state custody like she was a stray. Then you flew across an ocean and posted smiling pictures with other kids. That's not a mistake. That's who you are." My mom was crying now. My dad looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. I took a breath. Then I said the line I had written in my head 100 times. "You treated her like luggage. Now you'll carry the weight of losing us for the rest of your lives." Silence. Not defensive. Not angry. Just broken. They turned to leave without a word. No fight. No screams. Because sometimes the loudest thing in the world is the sound of a door you'll never be allowed through again. I watched them go, then turned back toward the house. Inside, Mia was drawing on the floor, another one of her quiet masterpieces. Stars, flowers, little cartoon animals all hugging each other in crayon. She looked up. "Who was it?" I smiled. "Just someone from the past." She nodded. "I made you something." She held up a paper crown, crooked, covered in glitter. "It's for being the best mom ever." I knelt, letting her place it on my head. It felt better than any courtroom victory, better than any public reckoning. Because this was the real reward. They thought they could leave a child behind and come home to peace. But what they came home to was a mother who had already rewritten the rules.